King Buckingham Palace not happy with Sir Keir Starmer. He handed over that letter to the King in front of, to the President even in front of the cameras.
A British Prime Minister just called the King a man in fancy clothes playing dress-up, and somehow that's not even the wildest part. 3 days ago, King Charles quietly broke a royal rule that had stood untouched for 300 years. Behind the heavy doors of Windsor Castle, he sat down for a private 2-hour meeting with Nigel Farage and Reform UK leaders. No photo op, no handshake, just an off-the-record conversation about the future of Britain and what's left of it. The topic: Reform UK's new policy paper called Restoring Britain's Democratic Foundation. It warns that Parliament is overstepping its bounds and tearing apart the institutions that once held the country together. And according to Palace insiders, one line in that paper made the King stop reading. That's when Charles reportedly dropped 12 words that would light a political fuse under Westminster. Perhaps it's time for fresh thinking in Westminster. The current path seems unsustainable. 12 words. That's all it took to shatter protocol and send panic across the political establishment. The meeting was meant to stay buried forever. No records, no leaks, no trace. But someone inside the system couldn't resist lighting the match. Within 48 hours, the Times broke the story. Then came BBC, Sky News, The Guardian, and the Daily Mail. The headlines exploded across the front pages. Britain's king had just waded into politics, and he'd done it with the one man Westminster treats like a political grenade. And here's the part nobody saw coming. The leak didn't come from Reform UK. They had every reason to keep that meeting quiet. It came from inside Downing Street. Multiple Palace sources said it was Labour MPs who leaked the story. The theory: they wanted to humiliate their own boss. They were tired of Keir Starmer's arrogance, tired of being ignored, and decided to let the King's meeting blow up in his face. If that was their plan, it worked perfectly. When Starmer found out about the leak, he absolutely lost it. Witnesses said he stormed into an emergency cabinet meeting like a man possessed. The monarchy serves Parliament, not the other way around. You could hear a pin drop. Even his closest allies froze. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he kept going. He called the monarchy old men in fancy clothes playing dress-up. That was it. 3 centuries of royal respect, gone in 10 seconds of rage. No British Prime Minister in living memory has ever insulted the crown so directly. The cabinet room went dead silent. Ministers stared at each other, wondering if they'd just witnessed the political equivalent of self-immolation. And because every room in Westminster leaks like a sieve, those words were out by nightfall. Journalists started getting texts, staffers whispered to reporters, civil servants screenshotted messages. Within hours, Starmer's meltdown was all over the news. By evening, the internet had turned into a battlefield. Defend the crown was trending worldwide. Memes exploded. Starmer's face photoshopped onto Oliver Cromwell. Another one showed him standing under a guillotine. Someone even edited a clip of him ripping up the Union Jack. The British public went feral. But it wasn't just Conservatives roasting him. Traditional Labour voters, the backbone of his own party, were furious. A 68-year-old retired teacher from Liverpool named Margaret Thompson became the unexpected voice of the nation. She posted a short video saying, "I supported Labour through Thatcher. I supported Labour through Blair. But attacking our king? That's not Labour. That's not Britain." It hit 2.3 million views in 24 hours. Her calm, trembling voice did more damage than any Tory press release ever could. By the next morning, the numbers were brutal. An emergency YouGov poll dropped like a hammer. 73% of Britons said Starmer had gone too far. Labour's approval rating collapsed from 42% to 28% in a single day. In the party's heartlands, the working-class towns that carried Labour for decades, 68% said they'd lost confidence in him. This wasn't just a PR disaster, it was the political equivalent of a building imploding in real time. Commentators on every network said the same thing. This was the kind of collapse that ends governments and destroys parties. And through it all, King Charles said absolutely nothing. Not one word, Not one reaction. Constitutional experts started calling it the smartest move of his reign. Professor Sarah Matthews from Oxford said it best. The monarchy survives by staying above politics. The king's silence makes Starmer look reckless, while the crown looks dignified. Inside Buckingham Palace, staff were reportedly furious that the monarchy had been dragged into political mudslinging. But publicly, Charles stayed calm. No statement, no rebuttal, no expression of emotion. That silence became the ultimate weapon. It made Starmer's rage look unhinged, a man screaming at a ghost while the king quietly carried on. Back inside Labour headquarters, panic turned into chaos. A WhatsApp group called Damage Control ballooned overnight. Over 40 MPs joined, all trying to figure out what to say or whether to say anything at all. Some argued they should defend him. Others wanted to distance themselves. A few started whispering about replacing him altogether. Veteran MP Diane Abbott said she'd never seen anything like it in 40 years of politics. "He hasn't just damaged himself," she told colleagues. "He's damaged all of us." That quote alone started circulating in private chat groups, and suddenly the party wasn't rallying behind its leader, it was preparing for a funeral. By midweek, Transport Secretary Louise Hay was seen leaving Downing Street in tears after what insiders called a ferocious shouting match. She reportedly told aides she couldn't defend this madness anymore. Meanwhile, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, Starmer's closest ally, vanished from the spotlight. No interviews, no tweets, nothing. Her silence was its own political statement.
While Labour scrambled to clean up the wreckage, Nigel Farage saw an open field and sprinted straight through it. Reform UK didn't gloat or post memes. They went for symbolism, old-school patriotism wrapped in modern precision. Cameras rolled as Farage stood outside party headquarters, flanked by Union Jacks, and delivered what many now call the speech of his career. "While others attack our king, Reform UK stands with the crown. While others tear down our traditions, we defend them. While others forget what it means to be British, we remember." The delivery was sharp, direct, and calculated to strike straight at the heart of Middle England. The effect was instant. Reform UK's membership numbers spiked by 400% in just 3 days. Donations poured in from voters who had never given a penny to politics before. Even lifelong Labour supporters were switching sides, saying they were done defending a man who insulted the monarchy. Local reform offices couldn't keep up with the paperwork. The party went from fringe outsiders to serious contenders almost overnight. And that wasn't even the full extent of the political earthquake. The Conservatives, still recovering from their own years of chaos, suddenly looked stable by comparison. Opposition leader Kemi Badenoch handled the situation with surgical calm. No gloating, no wild statements. She went on television and said one simple line that cut through all the noise. "The Prime Minister has shown complete disrespect for our constitutional monarchy and for the millions of Britons who hold it dear." That single sentence landed harder than any campaign ad. Conservative strategists couldn't believe their luck. One told The Telegraph, "We couldn't have written a better script." Labour had done what no opposition party could manage, reminded the entire country why they couldn't be trusted with Britain's institutions. Overnight, the Tories went from defensive to dominant without lifting a finger. Outside the UK, the reaction was a mix of laughter and disbelief. Canada's Justin Trudeau was asked about the chaos, and while his answer sounded diplomatic, "We respect the important role constitutional monarchy plays in parliamentary democracy." Everyone understood the subtext. Your Prime Minister has lost it. In Australia, opposition leader Peter Dutton didn't bother with subtlety. He called Starmer's comments disgraceful and said they damaged Australia's respect for British leadership. Even in the United States, networks that usually couldn't care less about UK politics were replaying the clip of Starmer shouting about old men in fancy clothes. Anchors on cable news shook their heads in disbelief. Britain, the symbol of stability for generations, looked like a political circus. Then came the new polling numbers, and they were historic. Labour had crashed to 26% support. Reform UK had surged to 24%. The Conservatives held steady at 32. For the first time in British history, Nigel Farage was within striking distance of overtaking Labour as the official opposition. You could feel the political order cracking in real time. Inside Labour's parliamentary ranks, despair turned into rebellion. Late-night phone calls between backbench MPs turned into coordinated plotting. The so-called damage control WhatsApp group transformed into a leadership war room. Diane Abbott's words kept echoing across chat screens. He's not just damaged himself, he's damaged every Labour candidate in the country. Soon, MPs were trading names like it was a betting pool. Angela Rayner, Rachel Reeves, Yvette Cooper, even whispers about dragging back Ed Miliband for an interim role. The conversation had moved past loyalty. They were talking about survival. The leaks came faster than the leadership could respond. First came Hayes' resignation, citing irreconcilable differences with the Prime Minister's approach to the monarchy. Her letter hit The Guardian before the ink dried. Within hours, 2 junior ministers followed. Each resignation piled more weight on a crumbling foundation. And through it all, Rachel Reeves stayed silent. Not a word of support, not a TV appearance, not even a quote through a spokesperson. In Westminster, silence speaks louder than shouting, and her silence sounded like preparation. Every absence became a statement. Every hesitation became a dagger. Labour wasn't defending its leader anymore. It was slowly burying him. Starmer's allies were disappearing one by one, replaced by cautious faces calculating their next move. Political insiders started using one word to describe the situation: terminal. And while Labour burned, King Charles didn't lift a finger. He didn't release a statement, didn't appear in public, didn't hint at any emotion. That stillness was devastating. Commentators across every network admitted the same thing. By saying nothing, Charles had taken control of the narrative. His silence made him the symbol of calm while the political class imploded around him. The man accused of playing dress-up now looked like the only adult left in the room. By the end of the week, Labour's internal polling confirmed the inevitable. The party's favourability had fallen below Reform UK in several northern constituencies that had been safe for decades. That revelation spread through Parliament like wildfire. Every MP understood what it meant. The Labour Party wasn't just losing the next election, it was losing its identity. History had flipped in real time. One private meeting, one reckless outburst, and 12 words from a king had just redrawn the political map of Britain. King Charles, by saying nothing, had won everything.